Okay, so I would like to claim by taking the abortion debate as a case study that Halakhah and feminist or human rights ideas are not necessarily at odds with each other. It does not follow, of course, that the ideological foundations of Halakhah and feminism are necessarily in correlation, but sometimes the bottom line of the halachic rulings can be a platform for a feminist, humanist, liberal halakha, since if Chazal, as I would like to convince, did not refer the fetus as the status of nefesh, meaning a person or human being, it does not mean that they necessarily saw women as full subjects, but contemporary halachic decisors can take this platform to create a halachic ruling that actually does exactly this. In this regard, the halachic approach to the difficult moral question of abortion can be the infrastructure or the basis for human rights law on this matter. So here in this slide, you can see some signs that I took photos from Jerusalem. In Israel, the main association that is really conservative and against abortion, it's Efrat, a very conservative and religious organization. And you can see also here, these are signs from Jerusalem, and this is abortion not in my hospital or in our hospital, it's from Shaarei Tzedek, which considered to be a religious hospital in Jerusalem. And on the left side here, you can see, of course, women demonstrating for abortion, for bodily rights for women. So at least in Israel, we can see that the collision between human rights or women's rights regarding abortion it's in a collision between the religious establishment. But what I would like to claim is that the ancient halakha, Chazal, Talmud, Rishonim, and even earlier Achronim, the later authorities, I see a direct line that is very lenient, and I would like to convince you that the stringent position that modern halachic authorities take does not really, it's not necessarily or obligatory by Chazal and the Rishonim. So, Jonathan, if you can move to the next slide. My main arguments at this presentation are as this. The first one is that the hegemonic halachic narrative about abortion today, mainly that abortion is a serious Torah-based prohibition in the Oraita and very close to murder, not only is not the imperative halachic narrative, but in fact is not compatible with the mainstream of halachic exposition down through the generation. The second one is that, by contrast, the dominant position in the 20th century was very strict and produced responsa of unprecedented severity. I will demonstrate that this stringent construction requires forced halachic maneuvers that have conspicuous gender implications and give at least 3 reasons that can shed light on this stringent tendency. First one is the demographic issue, the Holocaust, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the legalization of abortion in many countries, including Israel. And the third one is a response to Christianity. And my third argument is that even the lenient approaches today, at least what I found in Israel, the rabbis in Israel, which seem to be more considerate of women's lives and of their emotional and physical needs, is not devoid of gender biases. So let's start. Yes, you can move to, if just to summarize before in the language of Chazal, Yoshevet al HaMashber, when labor actually has started, and the fetus is considered as one until the beginning of labor. The fetus is considered as one of the woman's limbs, Yerech Gufa. It doesn't mean, however, that abortion will be permitted. It's necessary permitted. The first stage of labor, we more cautious starting status, even at this stage, it feels in danger with mother's life is permitted. Okay, so even at this stage, when the fetus acquires or start to acquire qualities of a human being, if it endangers the mother's life, so it will be permitted. And we touch the fetus. This is the picture, the big picture that I see from rabbinic literature, and I would like now to give you two examples from rabbinic literature, which I think are the basic and major examples, and then go to Maimonides, and then move to our period. So the Mishnah in Tractate Ohalot says, even and remove the sorry for the plastic description here, for her life takes precedence over its life. If most of the fetus, or the head of the fetus has emerged, it is not touched, for one life is not set aside for another. So I would like to suggest that according to this, we can suggest at least two readings to this Mishnah, but make a long story short, I want to claim that the first reading would be the stringent one. So according to this reading, only if there is a danger to the mother's life, we can abort the fetus. I remind us that here the Mishnah speaks on a situation that we're already in labor. So, but according to the stringent position, only if there is a danger to the mother's life, abortion would be permitted. However, according to the second reading, we can clearly indicate from the sefer, from the end of the Mishnah, that the fetus is not a nefesh, is not considered to be a human being until he went out, and so before that he is not a nefesh, a human being, and even at this, I would say, problematic stage, that he's starting to get out and he is not considered already part of the woman's body, one of her limbs. Even at this problematic stage, if it endanger the woman's life, so it can be aborted. So obviously before that, because it is not an nefesh, it can be aborted. I would like to claim that the second reading is the most probably the reading that Chazal took in this regard. And just to give an example how another Talmudic source goes hand with hand with this second reading that I've suggested, I would like to give in the second slide the example of the Mishnah and the Gemara in Tractate Arachim. Here we have a very problematic situation, which we cannot delve deeply into this Mishnah, But there is a situation when, death penalty was still took place in rabbinic in the Talmudic period, although it was very rare. But let's say that it still exists. We have a situation that a woman was sentenced to death. We don't know why, okay, and it doesn't matter right now. She was sentenced to death, and the court sentenced her, and she is going to be executed, but she's pregnant. Then the Mishnah asking, what should we do? Shall we wait until she gives birth, or we should execute her right away? Now you can ask, why execute her right away? Why not wait? I mean, what? So the commentators here say that perhaps Chazal were afraid from Inui Din. Well, I'm not sure how to translate this. Professor Broide, perhaps you can help me with this. Inui Din, meaning that they were afraid that because of the horror of the death penalty, it's better to do it right immediately after she's sentenced to death and not wait. And so now we can wait this fear that we won't torture her and cause her more suffer against the life of the fetus. That's the dilemma here. Now, the Mishnah says, if a pregnant woman is sentenced to death, execution of the sentence is not delayed until she gives birth. That's the rule. Because, as I've said, they're afraid that they will torture her, I mean, mentally or psychologically. However, if she is already in labor, seated on the birthing stool, imposition of the sentence is delayed until she gives birth. Meaning that if labor has started already, we will wait. Now, if you remember the second reading that I've suggested to Mishnah a lot, it is the same here. This is the stage when the fetus start to get out, so perhaps he won't be considered as one of her limbs, and we should be more cautious about its moral status, and we should wait. So this is exactly what they're saying here, that if it's until the stage that she is giving birth, we should not wait. If the labor has started, we are going to wait until the fetus is out, and then we will execute execute the woman. Now, the Gemara on this Mishnah is even more clear about that. And the Gemara says, the Gemara asks here, is it not self-evident that the execution proceeds without delay? I mean, we shouldn't ask this at all. Why? Why it is so clear that we should not wait until the fetus is out? For it, the fetus is part of her body. So the Gemara says it out loud there. Now, they are now saying, okay, this is what we assume, that we should not wait. It is clear that we should not wait. Why we are asking this question at all? So they say, no, it is necessary to state this rule, to state the rule that we should not wait. Or I might say, in as much as it is written in Exodus, according as the woman's husband may exact from him. Here the verse in Exodus says that if there is a fight between two men, and during this fight they hit by mistake a pregnant woman, and they caused her to abort the fetus, the husband should, the person who caused this should pay money. It's a monetary compensation to the husband. So we could have said here, it is necessary I might say, in as much as it is written according to the woman's husband may exact from him, the fetus is the husband's property, which he should not be made to lose. Therefore, the rule is stated, meaning that we might think that we should wait until the woman gives birth, because the fetus, according to biblical law, is the property, is the husband's property, and he should not lose his money. Yes, but so that's why the Mishnah says, no, we don't wait, because we even don't consider the loss of money for the husband. Now, and the Gemara continues to interpret the Mishnah, and the Gemara says, if she's already in labor, etc. Now, what happened? Why we wait when she's still when the labor is started? What is the reason for this? And the answer is, once the fetus has moved from its place and begun to emerge, it is a separate body. So we should be much more careful about its status, and that's why we wait. And the Gemara continues here, but I won't continue to explain the Gemara here, and I would like to move forward to Maimonides. I just want to say before we read Maimonides that there is another source, a very central source, from which the several poskim, the stringent bench, they think that abortion according to Jewish law is like a murder. It's from Sanhedrin, the Gemara in Sanhedrin, regarding a Gentile. And the Gemara says that the Gentile, Bnei Noach, they are forbidden. Abortion for them is like murder. So okay, you can say, okay, for the Gentile is like a murder, but not to the Israelite. But then there is a rule that everything that is forbidden to Gentiles, obviously it is forbidden to Israel as well. So I'm not learning with you today this source because we have to dig deeply into it, but I just want to say that at least Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg, one of the very important poskim of halachic decisors of this generation, think that this rule wasn't ruled as the halachic as halakha, as the Jewish law rule in this regard. So I would like to go to Maimonides now, and I believe that many scholars of Jewish law and perhaps Jews who follow halakha, when they hear abortion, they hear Maimonides as Maimonides and this rule to consider the fetus as a pursuer. And here I would like to say a few words about that. But let's read Maimonides first. This indeed is one of the negative mitzvot, not to take pity on the life of a rodef. A rodef is a pursuer, someone who pursues someone else to kill him. We can kill the pursuer in order to save the life of the one whose life were threatened. On this basis, our sages rule that when complications arise and a pregnant woman cannot give birth, it is permitted to abort the fetus in her womb, whether with a knife or with drugs. For the fetus is considered a rodef, meaning a pursuer of its mother. If the head of the fetus emerges, it should not be touched because one life should not be sacrificed for another, and etc. Although the mother may die, this is the nature of the world, meaning after the head is outside, we cannot touch the fetus. Now, we should, so the stringent position or the stringent bench of the halachic decisors, they wanted to conclude from Maimonides here that when he says for a fetus is considered arodef or like arodef, this is the more accurate translation from the Hebrew. It's not arodef, but like arodef, because in Hebrew it says mipnei shehu kerodef. Okay, like a rodef, like a pursuer of its mother. So the stringent halachic decisors said, okay, from here we understand that it is permitted to abort a fetus only if it endangered the mother's life, and that's it. However, what I checked, I checked all the Rishonim, all the first halachic decisors, the first generation. None of them agreed to this interpretation. But what is more important is the later Achronim. Yes, the later halachic decisors, the Achronim. Only one took this stringent position. The others interpreted Maimonides to say that if he is kerodef, like a rodef, meaning that perhaps you should treat him. I mean, not if you can save his life in the cause of perhaps one of his limbs, so it's better. But like in the rule of pursuer, if you can not kill the pursuer but just injure him or something like this, so you should do that. But if you cannot, it's okay to kill him in order to save the life of the one he pursued. And most of them think that Maimonides didn't disagree here on this with all other decisors who thought that the fetus is not a human being until its head is outside. So this is just to give the picture of the poskim, the halachic decisors, who actually didn't understand Maimonides in the stringent way. However, when we come to the beginning of the 20th century, we see a flip in a position. My argument is that until the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, the vast majority of the responsa literature and the halachic decisors tend to see the question of abortion in a more lenient way. Something is happening in the 20th century that caused them to be very, very stringent in this regard. And Jonathan, if you can move on. So what are the reasons for this stringent stand? So as I've said before, the legalization of abortion, especially also in the United States for 1973, Roe versus Wade, but also in Europe and in Israel as well. During the 60s, we can see that there is a discussion, a public discussion in Israel regarding abortion. The phenomena of women having abortion, illegal abortion in Israel is very, I don't want to say popular, but statistics show that it's a common phenomena. It's a common phenomenon, and I remind you that we don't have yet a good contraceptive methods. So abortion is like a contraceptive method, and so the public discourse in Israel started to change, and there are and the prime minister then appointed a committee to check the issue and perhaps to be more permissive in this regard. So the legalization of abortion, the demographic concern, you see here this sign that I found in the National Library in Jerusalem. It says here, abortion law is like killing the nation. It's like murdering the nation. Chok ha'apalot, retzach ha'umah. So it was very hot debate during the 60s and the beginning of the 70s in Israel. And Jonathan, if you can, yes. And another reason is the response to Christian attitudes, as I as I will show you in a minute. Okay, you can move because I see that my time is running. You can move. Just to give you an example, no. The previous one, sorry. Yes, Rabbi Moshe Yonah Zweig, for example, he was the chief rabbi, I think, of Antwerp. So I brought him, and then in Israel as well. So he writes, you see, it's in 1954, it's even before the beginning of the debate in Israel. Moreover, not only do the great physicians and jurists oppose allowing abortion, even in the case the case we discuss, it's about deformities in the fetus. If the fetus is found to be ill or damaged, so is it permitted to abort it? The priest Pope have issued a declaration that prohibits by their faith the killing of a fetus, even if it would be born with a defect or as an abnormal creature. Thus, there is another prohibition because of Chilul Hashem, profanation of the name of God. If we allow it, such an act would cause, heaven forbid, the profanation of the divine name throughout the world, and on such a matter it was said, certainly because you are a holy people, you should not let another people be holier than you. Okay, so the attitude of the Christian, of the Pope and the Christian world is like a litmus test for how holier, that Israel should be holier. Of course, there is a problem here because it depends. What do you mean by holier? If only you see the fetus here and its life and not see the woman as well at all, so perhaps it's holier. But of course, we should consider both sides, but this is only one-sided. And another example of, if you can move, Jonathan, to Rabbi Feinstein. First Rabbi Yehuda Unterman. Rabbi Yehuda Unterman was the chief rabbi of Israel during the 60s and the beginning of the 70s. And you can see here, I won't read it, but Rabbi Unterman he wrote an article which is, to the best of my knowledge, the most stringent halachic opinion that I ever saw regarding abortion, even before 40 days of pregnancy, which we saw that according to the Talmud, it's mere water, because he was very much against the legislation of a more permissive law regarding abortion. And another example, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, of course, sitting in the United States, and write this tshuva just after Roe versus Wade, and he also, like Rabbi Unterman, totally against abortion, and think that it is like a murder. It's like a murder. It's not exactly a murder, but it's like. And he took a very, very stringent position regarding abortion. Now, I just want to finish with if you can move, you can skip this. I want to claim that even rabbis who take a lenient stance, like Rabbi Moshe Tzuriel, one of the rabbis in Israel, but also Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg, that he was a great name in bioethics and in issues like medicine and Halakhah. He took a very lenient position on abortion, but it wasn't balanced. The woman's need and the fetus need were not balanced in their answers. And you can see here in Rabbi Tzuriel, you can see it very clear here. It is clear that it is not permitted to abort a healthy fetus when there is no danger to the mother's life. Any other justification for abortion, financial consideration, a wish not to hinder the woman's career, quotation is in original, or to preserve an attractive appearance, crowded living conditions, etc., is unacceptable. In this article, we are concerned only with the abortion of a fetus known in advance to have a serious mental or physical defect. So now I'm asking about this attitude. If you already think that abortion is only the Rabbanan prohibition, meaning it's not from the Torah law, it's only by the sages. So why, if the fetus is going to be a serious mental or physical defect, it's okay to abort him, but if the woman have all kinds of consideration, it won't be permitted. Again, we see that it is not balanced. And my last slide, Jonathan. So abortion, halacha, and human rights law. I think that rabbinic ideas as were developed during the Mishnah and the Talmud, as well as in later periods, can be used as the infrastructure for a reasonable civil law based on human rights doctrine regarding abortion. Even though the halachic rationals are not feminist or human right or liberal, or we cannot say that, the bottom line is that it suggests a balanced and reasonable attitude toward the difficult moral subject, difficult moral subject. However, when the stringent position of the rabbis today is more, the reasons are more ideological and not halachic in and of itself. And I think we should take this example of abortion as an example how halacha and feminism here have fight with each other. But what I want to claim that this is not necessary at all, and abortion is only one example. I think that we can give many examples that if we take halachic attitudes or from the Mishnah, the Talmud, the Niver Rishonim, without the stringency that modern poskim, halachic decisors added because of ideological reasons to those issues, we can reconcile in a more balanced way between human rights, women's rights, and halacha. Thank you.